Hey guys, what's up? My new drill press came in. Let's check it out. It's the Win Chinese Express drill press. Oh my gosh, the suspense is so real. Okay, looks like we got an owner's manual. There's the table, the pole in there. What else we got? There's our handle hardware. Some other stuff. I have to say, it's packaged in there really tight. It's kind of okay. Here's the base assembled. That pedestal's just held on with the 3 bolts there, 2 in the front and 1 in the back. I am going to go ahead and put on some of this blue thread locker. It's the medium strength stuff. And I'll probably also use that thread locker on these handles that get attached to the power unit. That way I'm not having to mess with it if they do tend to loosen up over time due to vibration or whatever. That should kind of keep things snug and in place. So let's get her put together. And there it is, all put together. It's actually a surprisingly solid and orange machine. It's pretty quiet when it runs. And I have to say that I did drill a few holes off camera and they were surprisingly straight. No run out, no anything. At least good enough for me. So, alright, let's get started building that mount for it. Okay, so these are my 2 legs for the bases of the drill press. I'm cut this block here to add some extra rigidity between the 2. It's about 3 3/4 inches. That's what the spacing on the tubes is. I'm just going to glue these in place and clamp it. I am going to be gluing end grain to face grain, which is not the strongest joint, but I need to go get some 3-inch screws. I don't currently have any right now. I will eventually reinforce this joint with some screws, but for now I'm just going to glue it into place. I'm going to be using Titebond 3, which is typically the glue that I prefer just due to the open time, and the actual strength of this glue is fantastic. You can put on a coat of glue when you're gluing end grain like this. Let it soak in, because that end grain will soak that glue right up, and because that's how a tree would normally grow. That's how it gets its nutrients, is up through the end grain. to provide the branches and leaves with the nutrients it needs. So if you do leave this glue set for maybe 15-20 minutes, that end grain will act like a sponge and soak that glue down into the fibers and dry. Then you can put another coat of glue on and clamp it in place. I'm not particularly worried about that since I will be reinforcing this with screws later. This joint's kind of just temporary so I can continue working on the project. I'm just going to cover both ends in glue and clamp it in place. I'm not looking for a ton of squeeze out here, just enough to hold the joint in place. I'm going to use this piece of laminated MDF for the top of the mount. I like using MDF for this particular application, not because it's necessarily structurally strong, but it is reliably super flat, and I can count on it staying that way because it is a manufactured piece of wood. It's not really wood, it's glued together sawdust with a lamination on top. I've just marked out my lines here to drill for my screw holes. They're just 1 inch in from each corner. I'm going to drill 4, and then I will mount that to the legs. And yes, I know you're not supposed to use a drill press to make a drill press mount, but whatever. There's the top put on. I'm just going to take a measurement real quick and see where we're at. It looks like 9 1/4 at the top there. So I'm going to cut another piece at 9 1/4. This was just a scrap piece that I laid down here. And I'm going to attach that 9 3/4 piece down there at the bottom of the leg. So that'll be one shelf, and then I'll make another shelf about halfway up. So I'll have 2 shelves on here. Got the bottom shelf installed. I'm thinking that I might just put cleats on either side for the second shelf instead of screwing in. I just think that'll be a little bit stronger. So I'll glue those cleats in, and then I'll set the shelf on top and screw in from the top of the shelf down into the cleats. Got the cleats glued in place here. They've been here for a few hours, so I'm going to go ahead and take the clamps off. And we can install the second shelf. Clamps off, shelf going in. It should fit pretty tight. Might have to give it a little nudge into place here. There we go. There's our second shelf. Like I said, I think I'm gonna run some screws down through the top here just to fasten it in place. And that's that. A bit of a change of plans here. Instead of that second shelf going in, I think I'm actually going to make that into a drawer. In order to do that, I'm going to need a front runner here, so I've just cut this piece at 9 1/4, put it in there. I'm going to drive screws on either side just to hold it in place. So yeah, I'm going to make a drawer. Yeah, I actually forgot to film the cutting operations on this, but it's just the shelf that I had from before. Then I glued and brad nailed these sides to it. They're just cut to length, the same depth as the drill station stand. I still need to do the fronts and backs, and then I'll add an actual drawer front on the front. I'll cut out a handle on the bandsaw, sand it down, and attach it. To line up the drawer front, I just slid the drawer out a little ways so I can make contact with the front of the drawer. Then I just used a clamp to clamp it in place. I had the same gaps on either side here. So I'm going to take that off, mark around the other side on the back side here where the drawer contacts the drawer front. Then I'll take the clamp off, apply the glue, clamp it in place, let that dry while I make the drawer pull for it. Clamps. There's the handle. I just lightly rounded over the edges by hand sanding. That's it. I'm just waiting on the glue to dry for that drawer front, and then I will attach it, and the project's pretty much done. I found the center location of the drawer front and marked it out, and then measured from center to center on my drawer pole is 3.5 inches. So I measured 1.25 inches over either way, and pre-drilled the holes and then drove screws just so the tips are sticking out. Now I'm going to take my handle as soon as I find where I put it. I'm going to take my handle and transfer these hole locations onto my handle so I can pre-drill it, and then I'll finish driving the screws. So that's it, completed. I'm still going to go over it and sand it, and I may put a coat of water-based poly or maybe just some spray lacquer on it to kind of protect the surfaces. I am pretty happy with how it turned out. It's going to be a good space-saving project rather than mounting the drill press on a workbench somewhere. This kind of frees up some space. This Shopsmith is set up as a dedicated disc sander. It is a multi-tool. It can function as a lathe or table saw or drill press or planer or jointer, pretty much anything. But the only attachment I have for it is the sanding disc, and I think I like to use it that way. So I don't plan on getting the other attachments. So I'm going to leave it set up like this and have my drill press here. I'm just going to keep some drill bits here in the drawer, and then on the shelf, I don't know, maybe a hand drill, or I'm not sure yet. This it is designed to lift straight off of the Shopsmith if I do decide to add on to the Shopsmith at some point in the future, but oh yeah, it is pretty level, so that's good. I will at some point run some carriage bolts down through the top here and onto the tabletop and secure it in place. I actually don't have any at the moment, so just a quick trip to the hardware store and this project is done. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, please remember to subscribe. I will be releasing videos weekly. Next week's project is a bookcase that I started in the summer and have yet to finish. So we're going to get that buttoned up next week and that'll be the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.